Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly for you on this little guy. This is the EMP EDC Nymble. So, okay, before we get started, we are very slightly favoring the show side, although really not by a whole lot. The action on it is fine. It deploys just fine in that way. There is really, there is not a good way for me to front. Oh, okay, I got it finally. You really have to apply a lot of upward force. The direction is upwards rather than back, which is not what I'm used to, but it does open fine. The action is okay. A little bit of a work to it. I think I can smooth this out some. Okay, now looking at it more carefully, how am I going to take this apart? So looks like we have to take out the pivot, have to take out this guy and this guy. The question is whether I can do it from this side or not. If this turns out to be the case, that there is one screw that goes all the way through to the other side here, then I should be able to remove this screw, and this screw, and have all of the pieces that are sticking out on one side, and I'd like to do that if I can. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab my screwdriver here, and if you're curious about this screwdriver or any of the tools I'm using, go check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and you'll see what we got going on here. Looks like we moved a T6 in the back there, and so let's go ahead and pull out a T6 driver. I'm using this little mat here because it has spots for all of the various hardware that I'm taking out. That way I know which screw goes where, although in this case I don't think they're going to be distinctive. Okay, so see, what I had going on there for a moment was everything was, like this screw started spinning for a moment. So indeed, all three of these screws are different, and indeed I should now be able to lift everything off. Hey, that's good. I really liked that that turned out to be the right choice, and I can do all of this from one side. I don't have to do a flip-flop disassembly. Now, the real question is, why is this not coming? Oh, it's been coated aggressively in thread locker. Okay, we're going to make a difference for this knife here today. This is going to be a much better action when I am done with it. So let's go ahead and grab the rubbing alcohol over here on one of my cotton swatches. Where did I cut myself? Why is that painful? How did I... Either way, it turns out that spraying rubbing alcohol into a cloth is a very, very good way to see if your skin is cracked in any way, shape, or form. Come off it. Been cleaning for a good portion of the day, so... and just cutting myself on another knife. Wow, damn, I am a danger, it seems, today. That is not amazing. But either way, at the very least, you get to watch. Nope, okay, good, just a scratch. All right, sound like the Black Knight from Monty Python. Anyways, moving along. Just cleaning off this little this little blade here. Trying to get out some of the gunction here. Very strangely shaped blade. We see that there is a... what is that? Oh, wow. It turns out I wasn't looking at the camera, and the camera is currently fading fast. So let's go on ahead and bring that back up. I don't know exactly when that started, but I sure know when it ended. So, okay. Now, the real question is, do I leave it in? I think I do. Okay, so what I was trying to show you here is this is a very, very weird pivot. Is it doing it again? No, okay. This is a very weird area here just because there's something kind of up inside this little area. And what I've got here is it's a little stiffer swab. They're being sold by Knife Pivot Lube here, but I've... people have sent me a variety of locations where you can buy basically the same thing elsewhere. But either way, that let me get in there, and that was just some gunk. Okay, good. While I'm in here, I'll use this little guy to go ahead and clean out these little corners here. Beautiful. And now that I've got that cleaned up, has my camera moved? No, I don't think it has. The armature that I use for to hold up my camera is not necessarily the most robust thing ever. It works, but that's one of many things that could use an upgrade. Okay, now we can clean up the other side here, and there's not a whole lot going on here. Just clean up the lock face, clean up. Now we do see a lock bar insert with an over travel stop right here. That's a beautiful thing. And then I do see a little bit of gunk On the back side of this, probably dried thread locker. And to that end, I'm going to get some booze on there and see if I can't get in there and... let's try the little swabby dude. It's the technical term, of course. No, that ain't wanting to go anywhere. Next step is actually going to be to use a stick. Where is my stick? Here's a stick. This is actually a bamboo barbecue skewer. But it is a, the stick has a certain amount of abrasiveness to it when it gets some of that in there, and so that actually allowed me to clean that off. Does that matter? No, not really. It could matter in a knife that has a bushing pivot, where the pivot is expected to be a very exact length in order for the knife to have the right, basically right geometry. Like the Shabazz 21 is the best, kind of the best known example of this. In that case, it could actually matter, because if the pivot itself is being kept from firmly seating itself against the handle, things become the wrong length, and then the knife gets too tight in that case. But it's a thing I'm going to clean up anyways, because there's zero harm in doing so, right? And that's a part of the reason I do this cleanup, is just to put everything on the same footing. Like, I understand that it is very difficult if you are trying to assemble, 30 of these every, I don't know, maybe 30 an hour seems reasonable. I don't know. I've never been a factory worker making knives. But either way, if you're trying to assemble a large number of these every, hour, you're probably going to not do such a careful job of each one of them. It's not a knock, of course. That's just the nature of the beast, right? It's very hard to do something 40 times an hour, 30 times an hour, and give a damn about it. And for that reason, I respect greatly folks who do really good work in factories. That's a hard task, and I do respect that. But anyways, I digress. But I am able to put in a little bit, maybe more vigilance, if you will, as I'm doing this, because I'm able to give that extra love and care and touch, so to speak, loving and caring, not like loving and I am a Karen. Although one could argue I'm kind of a Karen about knives, because I'm constantly complaining, and I regularly talk to managers of knife factories, but not in that sense, kind of in that sense. Okay, I'm a freaking Karen. The things we come to terms with. Anyways, so I am, I'm just making sure everything has its very best shot of, really performing well when it is both on my table for review and in my pocket for carry. Go ahead and put everything back together. Good God, I'm a knife Karen. All right, so let's go on ahead and put that together. For those of you who are not in the American culture, the Karen is a term that is, although there are many charming and lovely Karens in the world, it is a term that has developed for somebody who is perhaps a little bit overly entitled and inclined to speak to the manager over any perceived slight. There are lots of other things that go along with it, but it is a whole situation, culturally speaking, and yeah. So let's go on ahead and move on. Let's go on ahead and just pretend I never had that thought, just so I sleep a little better. So, okay, there we go. Put in that. Now I need to drop on a little bit of oil into the detent ball hole there. That should a little bit, he says, as he floods the entire area. Freaking Keystone Excel over here. Sorry, that was in poor taste. Wow, I am having a day, aren't I? Fallen cameras, moving. Oh, there is, the thing that just kind of stopped me there is if we take a look right here. Yeah, oh, as I throw this, I'm going to need to speak to the manager of that little blob right there on the corner, because again, this could prevent the knife from fully seating, or more importantly, even if the knife fully seats up against it, later on, if that were to come loose, if that were to break, it's a little bit more ductile than brittle. But still, it could result in the knife suddenly becoming looser than it was supposed to be. And so I'm going to go on ahead and knock that down. That is a consequence completely of thread locker use, more specifically over vigorous, if you will, thread locker use. But nonetheless, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to use some thread locker of my own, but I'm going to use this stuff. This is a, zoom back out, this is some thread locker on a stick. Just put a little bit of it into the threads of the screw there. Then drop this bad boy in place. Grab my T8. Lift the lock bar there. Allows me to put everything back together. And, yeah, that should do the trick. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in my other two screws with the shorter of the two going in this hole over here, which makes sense because it has less material to get to in order to get to the Chicago screw. Put that right in here. Beautiful. And now I will take, again, a little bit more thread locker here, and I will put it right here. And beautiful. Now the question is, what's... Oh, that's good. That's real good. That was way smoother. Okay. We are actually fully tightened, maybe even slightly over tight. Now let's go ahead and let me adjust the pivot to its perfect tightness. In this case, perfect is going to be defined as loose as I can keep it without having any blade play. Go back to my T8 here. All right. Oh, that introduced just the slightest bit of play. So let's go on ahead. Torque that down. Oh, a little bit still. A little further. Slightest tiny bit. There you go. Beautiful. Now that I've got the pivot perfectly dialed in, I'm just going to take one extra step here. I'm going to loosen both of these screws a little bit. That should let everything get back to its normal habitat, so to speak. The blade is now, again, very slightly favoring the show side. That's how we started, and it's very slight. But I'll tighten these guys down here, and we are good to go. The knife is disassembled and maintained, and I have had some very awkward realizations about myself and my role in the society. And I hope that you all had an absolutely wonderful video, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.